Since we are here in Little Havana, let me be perfectly clear and echo what Manny said. We will not win Florida with a candidate who sings the praises of Fidel Castro and downplays the atrocities committed in Cuba. Now, I know the Senator's comments are hurtful and offensive to Americans, that's Senator Sanders, those who risk their lives to flee the Castro regime and come here and start new lives. And as many leaders in Florida have rightly pointed out, the Senator's comments will be toxic for Democrats up and down the ballot in November. I know we can beat Trump and bring our country back together.
How do you find the sincerity of Sandinista leaders?
I was impressed. Now, obviously, I will be attacked by every editorial writer in the Free Press for being a dumb dupe. Maybe I am. I was impressed by their intelligence and by their sincerity. These are not political hacks, you know. You don't fight and lose your family and get tortured and go to jail for years to be.
He hasn't been down here to talk to residents to understand how our community, not just the Cuban community, but the Venezuelan community, the Nicaraguan community, feel about socialism and about communism.
So you think he made a mistake?
He made more than a mistake. It's what he believes. And it's unacceptable to our community.
She makes a good point. Bernie Sanders is not talking to people in those communities, or if he's not listening to what they're saying in those communities. And I think there's tremendous peril for Democrats if they nominate Bernie Sanders in the state of Florida.
I left Cuba in 1961. Cuba had the second highest per capita income in the Americas, and it had the second highest literacy rate in the Americas. Today, Cuba is second from the bottom. Only Haiti is below Cuba in per capita income. And so that gives you an idea how socialism can come in and destroy a capitalistic society and take it from very high level and bring it down.
Vast populations of Cuban Americans, Puerto Rican Americans, others who I think will not take kindly to his defenses of authoritarian regimes pretty consistently now for the past 4 decades, despite what he says. You know, he said, truth is the truth, right, and then said that he's not a defender of authoritarian regimes. He instead condemns them. That's just not true. He defends authoritarians pretty consistently.
Society.
We're very opposed to the authoritarian nature of Cuba. But, you know, it's unfair to simply say everything is bad. You know, when Fidel Castro came into office, you know what he did? He had a massive literacy program. Is that a bad thing? Even though Fidel Castro did it?
There's a lot of dissidents imprisoned in Cuba.
That's right. And we condemn that.
They have very deep convictions, which people can disagree with. And I think what is understood is even within the Sandinista government, they're not monolithic. There are some who are, more socialistic than others. You know, there are priests who hold, you have at least 2 priests. Ernesto Cardenal is a priest and Father Descoto is a priest. Many different, so there are different points of view. They're not monolithic.
The communists knew many, many years ago that in order to go from a capitalist society to a communist society, you had to have the people in the capitalist country accept the concept of distribution of wealth. If you could get that thought into the minds of the people, especially working with young people, because it sounds good, right? We're going to distribute the wealth. If you can get them to accept that, then which is socialism, it's a much easier step to then go to communism from there.